Hey guys, you know what time it is. It's time for Yo, what the f***? Why the no more tea? But it's piping hot. The tea's... What's shaking Booktube? My name's Cam and welcome back to another video. Today's video is one that I haven't done, and I haven't done a tag in a very long time. It's been quite a while. Anyway, question one is, what is something that no one ever told you before joining Booktube? Pretty much all of my theories about what it would be like being a booktuber were very, very true in the beginning, and I think for the most part everything that you'll hear from people saying what the booktube community is like, that's going to be a very real experience that you have when you start off on Booktube. I'm referring specifically to the sense of community, specifically within other smaller booktubers that are starting around the same time as you. When I started Booktube, I had a pretty tight group of friends who had also started around the same time. People like G from Book Roast, I Livy for Books, Clara Reads Books, obviously. BT dubs with Clara. I've checked in with her and she is not dead, so that's something. She's just on a hiatus at the moment.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
There was Ben Sanders, Julia from That Bookie, and a bunch of other booktubers that have since stopped booktubing, sadly. There was a real sense of community. We were talking to or about each other in all of our videos. We were collaborating a lot. It was just really fun. That's kind of what I expected from Booktube. It's something that no one ever told me, perhaps because it's not true with most channels that get there, but the bigger your channel gets, the less kind of community you feel, I guess. I don't know what it is or when it happened, but that tight group of friends I was talking about, we all kind of drifted away from each other, and it wasn't due to any like event or hard feelings or anything like that. I can't really describe it. It just drifted, I guess. I guess when you get bigger, you end up having so many more connections that it's hard to keep these friendships alive with so many different people. That's what I'm assuming anyway. I mean, I've tried to stay in touch with a lot of the people I used to be close friends with on Booktube, and I think we're still friends, but it's not the same as it used to be, that's all. I don't know. I don't mean to depress anyone, it's just, me personally, my experience so far has been that the bigger my channel has been getting, the kind of lonelier it's been getting as well. That's obviously not true for a lot of other channels as well, but that's just how it is, I guess. Number two is, what is your opinion on typical Booktube videos, for example, TBRs, wrap-ups, well, there used to be tags as well, book hauls, etc. I guess you could add reading vlogs to that now. I feel like reading vlogs have become kind of a staple. Not that I do them, because I just literally don't really do anything that interesting with my day that you would want to watch in a video. My opinion on those videos is, I don't know, it's hard to say because it works for a lot of people. There's a lot of channels that only do those videos and they perform greatly, but I think it should be said that those channels hinge very heavily on them having an attractive personality. If you're only doing these videos that are a staple of Booktube, but your personality isn't engaging enough to keep people interested, I think you're more at risk of losing viewers than you would be if you were doing unique or more creative stuff. Personally, the reason why I don't stick so much to the staple videos, I tend to go outside the box quite a bit, it's just because doing staple videos one after another just bores me, and this was always, or more so now than it used to be. I want to have fun with this channel. I want to make videos that are fun for me to make, and part of that is me trying to express some creativity as well. As far as those videos go though, I don't think they're bad at all. I think they're actually quite essential. I mean, this is Booktube, we're talking about books. At some point it's going to be necessary to talk about what books it is that you're getting and reading. I used to avoid doing a lot of single book review videos because they generally wouldn't get as many views. That's just a well-known thing on Booktube. But I've found that recently I've just kind of thought, fuck it, and I've just started doing it anyway. You might have noticed I've started doing a lot more book reviews on my channel where it's just me reviewing one book or one series in that video, and it's actually going pretty well. I'm really enjoying that, and I think I'm going to keep doing that. Number three is, what is an assumption you had before you joined Booktube, and was it proven to be true? I kind of had this assumption that I've never brought this up on Booktube before because of, the potential for it to be thought of as controversial, although it's not at all. And I guess I've kind of touched on this on my male booktuber tag, which I'll leave a card for if you want to. That's like a whole discussion video about this that I'm about to mention. Being a guy on Booktube, I had this assumption before I started that it would either A, greatly improve how much exposure I would get because let's be real, there's no point beating around the bush. most of the people on Booktube are females, and I thought, another guy in the mix, maybe that would attract a bit more attention. I thought either that would happen, or because it is, such a female-dominated space, my channel would get pretty much pushed to this side or shunned or wouldn't get as much views. That's kind of a fear I had in my head. I was like, what if I don't fit in as much? And to be honest, I haven't really found it to go one way or the other. I feel like my growth has been pretty steady and pretty consistent with the videos I'm doing and the changes I'm making in terms of my content, not just the fact that I'm a guy. The short answer would be that I thought coming into Booktube as a guy, I would either do really well or do really, really poorly, and I've found neither of those to be true. It doesn't really matter, I guess. I think it matters a little bit. I mean, I'm just being real here. Sometimes Booktube can feel a lot like a girls' club, and that's just a natural side effect of it being mostly females on the platform, but it's never bothered me that much. I mean, I've felt left out from time to time, and I've thought to myself, maybe it's because I'm a guy, but I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, basically, is what I'm saying. Number 4, what is something you've actually done that has helped grow your audience? Honestly, if you watch my old videos, it'll feel completely different to the videos I do nowadays, because in those videos, I was trying a lot harder to be entertaining and to be what I thought people wanted to see on Booktube. And the reason I stopped doing that isn't because it wasn't working or anything like that. It's just one day I sat down to do my Booktube videos and I was getting ready to get into that persona, and I just thought, I don't want to do this anymore. It's exhausting. I don't want to have to put on this little act. I just thought, fuck it. And from that day on, I started being more relaxed in my videos. I started doing videos I wanted to do rather than videos I thought I needed to do on Booktube. I just, basically the day I stopped taking myself so seriously, I feel like that's when my channel went through a big change, and I think it's no coincidence that around that time I started getting a lot more subscribers and views. Because the truth is, if you're putting on a hard act, if you're basically switching your entire personality for the sake of the videos, look, at the end of the day, that's how you want to film your videos, go ahead, it's your choice. I'm just saying people are going to see through it, and people, generally speaking, don't want to watch someone putting on an act on a platform like YouTube, where it's based so much around the personality of the creator. I mean, obviously I still embellish a bit. I make a lot more jokes than I would in real life. I use editing to make myself seem funnier than I am. But at the end of the day, when I get up from filming my videos, I don't feel so exhausted anymore. It feels like I was just on a long, fun Skype chat. Number 5 is, what is a common mistake that you see new booktubers making, or one that you made? I would have to say pretty much the same answer as the one I just used, trying way too hard to be goofy and awkward and relatable. In my early videos, it's just, looking back on it, it's kind of cringy seeing how much of an act I was putting on. I'd probably recommend the next video you film, if you're a booktuber or an aspiring booktuber, just give it a try. Just give it a try saying fuck it and just doing you, just being natural. It sounds cheesy and it sounds like a cliche, just be yourself and people will love you. But honestly, it feels a lot better. It's a lot more fun when you do that. And when you're having more fun on Booktube and making videos on Booktube, people see that and they'll have a lot more fun watching you. Also, I can give this as advice, but you're going to go through it anyway if you're starting a Booktube channel. At some point, you're going to feel really let down and concerned about your subscriber growth, because it is so slow around the start. You have no idea. And there can be certain points where you spike and you think, oh, it's really sped up. And then it'll just plateau. I remember when I was starting out, even after I'd gotten like 1,000 subscribers, there would be a whole week at a time sometimes where I would lose subscribers every day rather than grow. It was so demoralizing. There were so many points where I was like, why the fuck do I even bother doing this? And somehow I stuck through it. I just kept making videos. I kept at it, and I'm fine now. I seem to be doing okay. Also, I have a theory about, when you post a video and you tend to lose subscribers rather than gain them. I think what's happening there is you post a video, and then some people that subscribed to you ages ago who had forgotten that they'd subscribed to you are like, oh shit, I'm still subscribed to this person. And they unsubscribe, and that's why you're losing subscribers. Because in the first couple of days of you posting a video, the bulk of the people who watch it are going to be people who are already subscribed to you. You won't start actually getting new subscribers from that video until a couple of days onward, weeks. Every massive video I've got on my channel, every video that's gone viral, only blew up like after months and months, sometimes after a year or more. You just have to be patient. Number 6 is, what are your thoughts on working with publishers and sponsorships? And I've had a lot to say on this in the past, But luckily, I have an entire video dedicated to that. So if you want to see my whole discussion video about that, I'll leave a card as well. The short answer would be, I think it's completely fine for people to accept reviews from publishers and sponsorships, but I think they have to do so knowingly and with the knowledge that people are going to be more critical with their reviews in future if they're reviewing a book that was sent to them for free. They could be as honest as the next person, they could be 100% honest, but the people watching, as soon as they hear this was sent to me for free, they're going to be pretty critical. So that just comes down to you. If you're okay with that, then go ahead. Number 7, do you think Booktube is dying? No. Obviously not. I mean, it's bigger than it ever was. Like I said at the start of the video, I think the community is changing a lot. It doesn't feel nearly as tight-knit or as... Let's be real, it doesn't feel nearly as friendly as it did at the start. I'm not saying it's not friendly now, but it's just... There's this constant kind of tension now with Booktube, especially on Book Twitter. Yeah, I know. It's just there's a constant kind of tension, and I never felt that when I started on Booktube, and I don't know if that's just because I was a small booktuber or because Booktube, the community has actually changed a bit. Alrighty, so I also had some questions through the community tab of YouTube. I asked there if anyone had any Booktube questions they wanted me to include in this video. So I'm just going to rapid fire through those. What Booktube authors would you recommend to someone who thinks that the vast majority are very poor writers? Don't say Jen Mareshi, her prose are alright, but The Savior's Champion has a very weak plot with middling characters. I haven't actually read any of Jenna Mareshi's books, but I don't know. I'm not going to comment on Jenna's book because I haven't read it, but to be honest with you, I haven't really read any other booktubers' books except for Ben Sanders, but ages ago. But like I said, I was or I am friends with him, so I mean, I could recommend that, but that comes with a bias. Honestly, I don't know. If you want to find booktuber books, I would recommend looking through AuthorTube. That's where most of the booktubers talk about their books. Do you know of anyone like Brendan Sanderson that does lecture-type YouTube videos that you would recommend? I'm not too familiar with Brendan Sanderson's videos, but I know there's plenty of videos you can find from authors like Neil Gaiman. He has a lot of videos on YouTube. Not specifically from him, I think, from other people uploading them, but I've found some great advice through Neil Gaiman. Pretty generic, but what made you start your channel? I've said a lot in the past, and I haven't shied away from the fact that I started Booktube entirely so I could build a platform to sell my books. That's changed a lot since now. Booktube's become a passionate hobby rather than just a marketing device. So I don't see any reason to lie about why I started. I started entirely for myself. Do you prefer to buy books online or in a local shop? Do you prefer small independent booksellers or the larger chain stores? So it's pretty obvious what the answer to this one's meant to be, but look, I'm not gonna lie to you again. I do most of my book purchasing through online stores like Book Depository or Amazon. And the reason for that is that I'm sure any Australians out there will agree with me. It is exceptionally expensive to buy books in Australia. It is ridiculously expensive. A lot of hardcovers for your standard, popular book circulating around Booktube can cost you up to like nearly $50 sometimes. It's an insane amount of money to spend on a book. It's just not feasible. There are very few independent bookstores in Brisbane, a lot depending on who you ask, but compared to other areas, it is a very small amount. So most of the bookstores here are large chain bookstores who are doing completely fine for themselves, to be honest, because they sell online just as much as everyone else. The small independent bookstores, they are the ones that struggle the most, and that sucks, but then that also means that they're the ones who generally have to increase their profit margins. It's just a tricky situation because, you want to support these small independent bookstores, but at the same time, it's like 2 books cost you the amount of like 2 weeks worth of groceries. It's just not practical. But that's also why I try to draw so much attention to the Lifeline Book Fest that I go to every year. It's pretty much the one time a year I do a vlog where I go to the Lifeline Book Fest and they've got millions and millions of books. I just buy an absolute shit ton, and all the money raised from that event goes towards charities and that sort of thing. That at least makes me feel a little less guilty about buying from retail monopolies like Amazon. What AuthorTube channels and Booktube channels do you recommend for aspiring authors? Tell you what I'll do. I'll compile a bit of a list of the smaller channels I've been enjoying lately, and I'll leave them in the description field of this video so you can check them out. Is time spent booktubing really worth it, or would most booktubers be better off writing their next book? That's kind of an impossible question to answer because, the worth of Booktube would be drastically different from person to person. What makes Booktube worth it for you? Is it like I said before, building a marketing platform in that instance, I guess, yeah, it would be worth it. Is it for socializing, the sense of community? Yeah, again, worth it, absolutely. But obviously you're weighing those things against your time. If you have very little time in the day and you're barely getting any writing done as it is, it's probably not worth it if writing a book is your top priority. That's just, yeah, I can't answer that. That depends entirely on your situation and how much time you have to spare and how much you would actually want to do booktubing, because it's a lot of hard work. Have you ever met any other booktubers in the flesh? Unfortunately, no. I've had a lot of plans to do that in the past, but it's just never really worked out. I don't believe the people prophesizing the death of YouTube, but if that were to happen, how do you think that you and other booktubers would proceed? I don't know. Let's say YouTube ended tomorrow. I'm sure a lot of booktubers would go to other platforms like, I don't know, Vimeo or Twitch or something, but I don't know if I would too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I probably would, but I'm not 100% on that. What is your favorite reading position? Laying down on your side, lounging in a chair, or sitting at a table? Usually I'll lay face down on my bed, right up the very end, so just my eyes are going over the end of the bed, and then I'll have the book on the floor beneath. So, I mean, that's kind of weird, I guess, but do people leave you hateful comments sometimes? How do you deal with this when it happens? Crazy enough, I actually haven't gotten that many, over my whole time on BookTube over the years, I haven't gotten that many negative comments. I can probably count them on both hands. Usually it's just people. I did get this one recently, which I thought was kind of funny. I think I replied with something like, "You're welcome, wink face." But usually it's just more so to the AuthorTube side of things. The thing with a lot of other writers is they can be a bit pretentious when it comes to people giving advice. If they don't agree with your advice, they'll usually jump in very quickly to say, actually, shut up. If you could change the end of only one book you read, which would it be? Sorry if my grammar isn't right. English isn't my mother tongue. Your English is fine. You're doing fine, Sharon. Oh man, that's one of those questions you would have to give me a while to think about. You know what I'll do? I will think about it, and when I come up with an answer, I'll leave the book cover right here. That's the book with the ending I would change. Which author are you most inspired to be like? I have a tremendous amount of respect for the writing styles of Joe Hill and Blake Crouch, so if I could get to even half the level of one of those guys, I would be extremely happy. What's your favorite book and why, and what's your favorite genre and why? My favorite book or series, I guess I should say, is the whole Middle-earth series, specifically the Hobbit series, because, my preference for that series is very nostalgia-driven. That's the series that really got me into loving fiction and writing. So, to me, The Hobbit's always going to be the book that changed my life, so to speak. But I have a lot of other favorites as well, so if you want to see what those are, you could always follow me on Goodreads. Links in the description. As for my favorite genre, that would be a hard tie between fantasy and horror. Probably fantasy. I read more horror, but when I find a good fantasy, they're the stories that really stick with me for a very long time. Anyway, guys, that's it. We're done. It's over. Judging by the length of how long I've filmed already, I've got quite a bit of work cut out for me in editing, but I hope you liked this one. It was a bit more of a serious video rather than just joking around a lot, I guess, which, my last video was as well, so that's 2 in a row. Sorry about that. I'll make sure the next one is extra fun, and if you want to see that one, you'll have to make sure you subscribe, so do it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch ya.